It's 4 o'clock on a Monday, and you know what that means. It's time for another exciting episode of Taxi TV Live. This is Stephen Memel, who has amazed people at the Road Rally with his antics on stage, taking people who had otherwise lackluster performances and turning them into amazing performances. He had a video that I saw the other day online that was about emotion and
about a client of mine inquiring how did I approach getting an emotional impact from a lyric. Did I go back into experiences of my life and relate it to the song? And I said, while I respect that methodology, it's not one that I use. To me, doing that says a couple of things. One, I'm not capable of completely believing an imaginary circumstance. I'm not capable
That's
of...
hard.
It is.
For
it
many
is.
people,
it
maybe
is.
not you.
well, it was. I spent hours and hours and hours and hours learning that.
Yeah.
I would take a paragraph of one script or one song and just sit there for an hour with it, trying to penetrate it, trying to understand what it was. The thing is, you don't know what to be thinking about or how to approach it. People are unclear about the information they give you.
Yeah, and if you're on your own, living in the cornfields of Iowa, you're all alone in the end zone out there, just going, "What do I do?"
And it's really simpler than you think. And there's a quote in Edward Albee's Zoo story that goes, "Sometimes you have to go a long way out of the way to come back a short distance correctly." And so it's about how we get complicated on things until we find the simplicity. And when you put, an emotional, looking into your background, between you and the lyric, there's a filter. And to me, it's like looking at music and going, every good boy does fine. You're not registering middle line of the treble clef is a beef.
Right.
You should just know that. So it slows people down, and I watch people for years who do that kind of thing, or count from middle C. And when I show them, well, see this pattern? There's 2 black notes here. There's 3 black notes there. The one to the left, and you break the context. So I can describe to you exactly how to approach it.
Okay.
It will be a little Greek, like any concept is.
And we're
until you feel it.
talking vocal delivery on a song now.
Vocal delivery on a song. So how do you make vocal delivery? There's a number of aspects. First of all, there's the musical aspect. Okay, so we're going to be listening to the Linkin Park track, and when I was listening to that, I just felt the musicality in the rise and fall of the lyric and the music, and how there was such musicality and accuracy and skill.
Auto-tune.
Well,
that's one of the questions I am going to talk to you about or ask you is, from years of sitting behind a console, coaching people through vocals, they would worry so much about the technical stuff. They would climb so far inside their own head that they wouldn't just let it come out. I would say to people, let it come from your toenails, through your scrotum, through your bowels, up through your heart, and out.
They can't.
Right.
They can't. And here's why. Because nobody's given the information that neat work needs to be done and let go of. So a young woman I had in a recording session, and she was having trouble hitting this pitch on an entry. And there was another...
You mean getting high enough or being on pitch?
It was flat.
Okay.
And she could sing on key. And so somebody else went there. Okay, make sure you listen and you hear and you really focus on that note before you sing it. And I went to the producer. I said, "Come here, I got to talk to you." Okay, she's giving the direction or I'm giving the direction.
Mm-hmm.
Choose, because I think that's the worst thing she could do right now.
And?
Okay, I was paid to come in. And I said, okay, do it as bad as you can.
Yeah.
Okay,
Which
just go the heck for it.
That's what you did with Mike and Ruthie.
And-
You had to get them to let go.
Right,
of being
because
embarrassed.
if you're trying to mind your voice while you're performing, then you don't have good enough technique for that to happen automatically.
Okay.
So you don't try to learn how to sing while you're performing.
Write
You
that
say-
one down. That's a good one.
You say, and I got a whole story about this is the horse I'm riding, and if people, have my warm-up CD, you'll remember that. But It's like, this is what I got to work with. Now, my
Yeah.
attention needs to be off that, and I need to be making a communication and telling a story. The problem is, because people are so obsessed about their voice and doing it right, that they give short shrift to the lyrics and understanding them on a deep level. And if you don't understand them on a deep level, how do you embody them?
Yeah.
And what people replace for really embodying each thing you say and it being true for you is getting vibey around a song. And nobody knows that that's what they're doing.
Check that out.
You know?
Stephen Memel doing.
It's getting vibey, you know. And if I'm making the face
Yeah.
and doing the thing, that's emotionally connected for most people.
Right.
But they don't realize if you took each moment of the lyric apart, what they were doing would be inappropriate and not a match to what they were singing about. I mean, yes, it would look rock and roll or
Right,
authentic or whatever. But, you know, I had a very significant industry person whose name I won't mention.
Oh, come on.
Well, he's a great guy, Clyde Lieberman over at Mark Burnett.
Yeah. I've
Yeah.
known Clyde since the beginning of Taxi.
Great guy, and he had me, and we were talking about doing some show together. He didn't really know how I was being looked at for it. So his test was he put on a CD of one of the people who submitted, and she looked awesome, okay? But he said, give me your commentary. And most people would have gone, awesome, right? And when she's doing rock and roll, she wasn't doing the song.
Oh,
She
okay.
was doing the
Right.
general rock and roll.
She had the moves.
And you find that when people approach Shakespeare. You find it, because I'm doing a lot of work with entrepreneurs now, you find it with people in their presentations. The connection to actually what they're saying at each moment hasn't been deeply enough investigated. They did it at one point when they were writing it. But how many people sit and tear their lyrics apart? The first thing I have people do is I give them, I say, imagine you get a piece of paper, and it's, or no, digital, and there's a title. It's just a title page. It has nothing about the song. And it's the song that they've written. And I say, if you got that lyric and you knew nothing about it and you didn't write it, what would you think that song was about? You don't have to be right. What would you think it was about? And all of a sudden, people are investigating things that they've taken for
I'm
granted.
amazed that you can get them to do that, because I've done that for a gazillion years. That say to people, look at your lyric and imagine that you've never seen it before and you don't know the backstory. What would this mean? And they start just regurgitating the backstory because they've got all this
Right.
inside information, which they don't even bring to the vocal.
Right. Right.
But you're right. You know what? Steve Jobs, probably the greatest, I was going to say greatest living example. Sorry, Steve. I've read tons of books on him. There was a guy that would spend hundreds of hours to make his presentations at
Oh, yeah.
Macworld or whatever
Oh, yeah.
look like they were off the cuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah. He
All
knew,
the greats do that.
Yeah, he knew every single word.
Now, some people, they've done the work in another life, or they've done it so many times. Like right now, somebody can say, one thing I show people that, where they say, well, I have to really get into it and feel it. I say, no, give me any emotion, and I'll do it. I'll drop into it. And part of that is our relationship to our physical expression, too. See, all these things intertwine.
But you come with an arsenal of experience. You know,
Yeah.
you've done acting, you've done music, and you've been doing this for a long time. The average person doesn't have what you have.
Correct. So that's what I give them faster than I had to dig it out. So there was a directing teacher I had, a guy named Michael, Michael Gordon. He directed the original film Cyrano de Bergerac with Jose Ferrer, right?
The black one was.
The black and white one.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
He was an old guy when I was in
I was going to
college.
say he's not alive anymore.
And he was a member of the group theater, which was where Strasberg came
Yeah.
out of, and Uta Hagen, and all those people. And they had a constant argument he would talk about. Do I have to be angry to pound my fist? Or when I pound my fist, do I become angry? And they could have spared themselves the argument because contemporary neuroscience says it's a bidirectional thing. You know, like everybody's heard, try smiling and walking around smiling and feeling sad. It's just an extension of that. It's about being angry, but you can't know what you need to be at any given moment if you've taken a general idea, like most people do, and go, this is a sad song.
Well, then let's go back to, did you write the lyric or did somebody else? Let's start with somebody else. You know what? I'm sorry. Let's start with I wrote the song, because most of our members are writing their own stuff when they
Right.
submit it. So if they wrote the song and this takes me back to my question, which I can't remember if I asked you this before the buffering or after. If you write the lyric and you do a poor job of writing the lyric, and it's such inside information that only I, the songwriter, really know the backstory, and the lyric isn't effectively communicating to the audience and making them feel what I want them to feel, can you still pull that lyric out with the techniques you're talking
Yes,
about?
absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Because, emotion is experienced, or a thought is experienced, and then what we do to communicate that is the secondary thing. Okay?
Okay.
So my thing is, do I say, I'm thirsty? you know, or
No, I would say, I'm tired.
yeah, exactly. Right, and people.
Rockstar.
Yeah. Here's mine. And
right.
people who have worked with me will know, I say this frequently, that people write lyrics or a song from a particular emotional moment, standpoint.
Mhm.
But then from then on, they sing about that place, not from that place.
Wow, write that one down.
So because people think their job is to be good,
Right.
right?
Be the rock star.
Be the rock star. And I have a phrase, I call it called death by goodness. I don't know how to do good. I know if I do a bunch of things simultaneously and really get fluid at them, some people watching me might go, dang, he's good, right?
Mhm.
But that's not my business. My business is execution. My business is being inside every aspect of it. But you can't be doing that while you're in a performance or recording a song. That's your homework, and people don't understand. And it's not their fault. It's obviously this is not something they're hearing every day. They don't understand that there are ways to go about it. So if you want to be concrete and give some ways, we can take a lyric, we can listen to one of the songs we brought,
Here's what we're going to do is we're going to listen to 3 or 4 songs that Stephen brought that are great examples of people delivering lyrics emotionally enough that it feels authentic. You believe them when they sing it, like they mean these words. That's what authentic means. When we run listings all the time that ask for authentic vocal delivery, they don't want it to sound like American Idol, where people are worrying about performing.
Right.
They want it to sound, they'd rather hear it be a little pitchy and unbelievably heartfelt, where you just want to hug the singer,
Right.
or whatever emotion they're trying to evoke. So that's what authentic means. You brought up a great word on the phone the other day, transparent.
Transparent.
We were talking about, I went to authentic and then I mentioned organic, and Stephen said, can I talk about transparent? And I went, well, what do you mean? So
Well, what I mean by that is not in a kind of, I'm an open wound, but allowing myself to be up in front of people without masking my heart, without masking my feelings, without masking my sadness, if I want to communicate sadness.
isn't that the same as I'm an open book?
It is. But you're not doing it to impress the people.
Mhm.
You're doing it so that you have the authentic experience, and they get to be a voyeur.
How do you sleep at night? This is deep stuff.
It's fun to teach. It's practical. It's conceptual, but you've seen me do it, and that's all I'm doing is I'm using tricks and whatever to disrupt people's concepts.
It is
And
disruption. I've watched
Yeah.
you work.
yeah, and you can disrupt them in many different ways, but when they no longer can hold on to the patterns that they formed in, all of a sudden their spontaneity shows up, which you don't have to work at.
Right.
When you get good at jumping into this place of freedom, and you can do whatever you want to do depending upon what's required, then you can just work with the director and say, that moment right there, I think we should play it a little bit more ironic rather than angry. So I know ironic kind of has this attitude, and angry has this attitude.
So as a vocalist, you need to be able to dig for those, convey those emotions, dig and convey,
Right.
So that they're believable.
Yeah. And if you work hard enough at it, there's no digging.
At the road rally, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, I went to Stephen before the road rally, and I said, I don't know, it was maybe a week or two before, and I said, every year I get up there and I give my welcome speech from the podium, and I want to do it better. I'm completely comfortable on the stage when I'm ad-libbing and when I'm asking questions of panelists. I love it up there. I have a great time, and I feel totally like I do on the show. I feel comfortable with you guys. I don't get stage fright, and I don't get hung up on giving the speech, but just the physical act of looking down, looking up, working from paper, looking at the audience and connecting. I knew I wasn't doing it very well. So I went to Stephen, and he gave me a tip that'll be with me for the rest of my life, which is when you finish a sentence, look up.
That's it.
Just that one little thing, because I just put an exclamation point on that sentence by connecting with you. I mean, not an exclamation point like hurrah.
You landed it.
Yeah.
You landed it.
Yeah, and
that's part of the practical nature of it, because since people don't, it's hard to get the information. When I say people don't, it sounds like I'm saying something negative about artists. I'm really not. I mean, I
beat
was
'em up
that
all the
person.
time.
But Michael wasn't doing that because there were so many other obligations that you felt, if I just do that,
yeah,
then everything else is going to fall to shit,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
So we have to risk one thing. So in your rehearsals, don't just practice a song over and over again. What am I practicing this time through? Not this whole rehearsal. This time through, I'm working on this song. Am I going to take the words off and just get absolutely perfect on the melody, so that the melody, I put it in, I notice where I have a little bit of preconception of it going somewhere that it doesn't. That glitch is probably in the song every time I sing it and disrupts everything else. Yeah. So focus on that. Then you circle back around. You don't wait till it's perfect. You put in some work on it. Then you say, this time I'm going to work on the first stanza of the lyrics, and I'm going to get myself understanding it. But I'm not going to worry about memorizing it while I'm understanding it. I'm going to spend time digging into the world of that story. And if I understand the idea to idea to idea, which most people don't, then the words will be easy to memorize, because just like, you'll go, I'm thirsty, and you find the words to express what's already in there. But people memorize words. So, which is a funny thing, because when I finally get people initially thinking idea to idea, they forget the words, because they don't know the words except by this rote pattern. But when you know the ideas that I'm expressing, I can make up the words and they'll work.
right. I think my daughter Hannah went to Stephen 3 years ago probably, and I remember she was in a play, the one about the German kids, Julie Andrews.
Sound Music.
Yeah, she played Liesel, and she came off the stage that night and said, "Did you see the scene, whatever scene it was?" She said, "I completely blew half of my lines and half of the lyric on the song."
Mm-hmm.
And my wife and I had no idea. Nobody in the audience had any idea, because she just owned it. And
nobody cares.
Yeah, and just went right through it, and nobody knew.
Yeah.
So that's what you're talking about.
That is
She
exactly.
conveyed the ideas,
Right.
but she didn't get all the words exactly right.
Yeah.
And she learned that from you.
And if people even notice, they kind of go like, who cares, because they're so involved.
Yeah.
They want to see the next thing that you're doing. Now, can I check and see, is this making sense to the people out there? I mean, is this valuable, or is it too...
Stephen is dumb man.
Yeah.
I don't even remember where I am now.
Should we look
right.
at some songs?
Yeah.
Okay.
Stephen and Michael, and all the taxi kids. Oh, he's just saying hi. Okay. So yes, they're given +1s. That's their way.
Beautiful, thanks. Thanks.
Okay, so let's start out though with a singer-songwriter song because that is the type of request that we get most often, where people
Right.
say, "Give me something that's very authentic sounding." So,
Mhm.
which number should I go to?
I think it's 2. One is Samson.
Okay. And do you want to say anything to set it up?
No, let's just listen.
Okay.
My sweetest downfall. I loved you first. I loved you first. Beneath the sheets of paper lies my truth. I have to go. I have to go. Your hair was long when we first met. Samson went back to bed. Not much hair left on his head. He ate a slice of Wonder Bread and went right back to bed. And the history books forgot about us, and the Bible didn't mention us, and the Bible didn't mention us, not even once. You are my sweetest downfall. I loved you first. I loved you first. Beneath the stars came falling on our house.
She's talking to me.
I know.
Yeah.
But they're just old light. They're just old light. Your hair was long when we first met.
Okay, good.
All right. Yes, it was Regina Spektor.
Yeah. It's stunning.
Yeah.
You know, that's all there is to it. So some of the things that work for her, first of all, you get a feeling that she's speaking the words.
Mm-hmm.
She's not concerned with singing.
Right.
Okay?
And they left some pitchy notes in to prove it.
Exactly. The other thing is, and you'll notice this again and again and again, the first time it really smacked me in the head was when I was in my 20s listening to Springsteen and heard some triplets he attacked. And I went, holy God, those triplets were dead on. Now, of course, it's studio, but
Yeah.
I've heard him. He knows how a triplet is attacked. And when you hear Regina, okay, she hits those notes in the ba ba ba, and she's not ba 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 ba, which she could do as well, you know. So she's hitting it rhythmically, very accurately, but not being distracted by it and creating more sounds. Okay, so her technical prowess has enveloped all that musicianship. If you are trying to figure that out while you're singing, then how are you going to just say the lyrics?
Right.
Like you're speaking them. So another thing is that the different sound quality she creates. A lot of
Glad you're
people,
bringing this up because I want to add some engineering stuff to it when you're done.
exactly, and a lot of people, it's like, okay, how the do I get that note? You know, let me find a way to get it, not which way do I want to execute that for the drama of the story. And so if you listen through the first couple of verses, what you hear is the exact same notes that she's singing in this ridiculously light sound. She then leads into and finds enormous body in her voice. And not only that, one thing that I talk about that I see less in indie musicians is that they'll have like one verse quiet if they're trained or if they've really dug in, one verse will be quieter, the next verse will be a little bit more full. But when you listen to people like Regina Spektor, one word has that rise and fall, you know, and you can practice that absolutely mechanically.
But you're not saying everybody should adopt that style because that's
No.
part of her shtick.
Right, but if you listen to it, it's almost part of almost every single artist's shtick, and I'll point it out in all the other songs.
All right.
Okay?
Yeah.
And so it's got to be done mechanically first because you're not natural at it. So me, I don't want to go, oh, I'm not a natural. Like one producer once sat across from me with a client I brought to me, said, you know, all voice teachers are charlatans. He's a very well-known person whose name I'd really like to mention, but I won't.
Okay.
Okay, but he really was absolutely convinced you either got it or you don't. And I know that's not true.
I feel the same way about songwriters. I mean, the same way
Yep.
in the opposite, because so many of the people watching the show and the people that come to the rally and hang out on our forum really weren't that accomplished 3 years ago, and now
Right.
they are. You're not just born with it. You may be born with some modicum of natural talent, but it's a craft that has to be developed over time, and these guys
That's right.
have proved it to
When
me.
I was a performer, when I was an early performer, people told me I was stiff, mechanical, you know, pretty much every negative thing you could possibly say.
Yeah.
And I dare anybody to watch me work now and say that.
As a singer or as an actor?
Everything.
Really?
Yeah.
I can't imagine that.
I had stuff inside, but I didn't have the channel developed. And that's what technique is. Some people have that channel through which their stuff can come. Gift of the gods. It gets enhanced,
Yeah.
you know,
Craft.
but it's craft.
I used to, my first job in New York was 2 doors to the right of Lee Strasberg's shop, and watching when they broke for lunch, people coming out working on their stuff, walking down 42nd Street was hysterical, but they were so
That was me.
into it, you know.
That was me.
Really. Yeah.
I used to kid that some people must have wanted to put one of those tinfoil hats on me. Yeah. I was relentless. You know.
Man.
So do you want to make a comment about the
Oh,
recording stuff?
yeah.
I'm curious.
Yeah, the comment is that, look, I can't expect all these folks on here. I mean, we want them to be great songwriters. We want them to be great vocalists. We want them to get out of their head and into the lyric and do all this stuff. And this is just one more thing to ask you to do. So maybe you should ask somebody else to do it for you. But a part of that delivery, of the authenticity, of the sincerity, of the tenderness, all that stuff is your proximity to the microphone.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And you can blow it by getting too close and getting the boomy proximity effect, or you can be smart enough to roll off some bottom so that you can get close enough and throw a compressor on it so that you can literally hear the saliva hanging down that
Yeah.
little, what's that thing in the back?
Uvula.
Uvula? Yeah, your uvula. You can hear crap rattling around on
Yeah.
that works.
Yeah.
So there is an engineering and a mic technique aspect to it, and so you may master what Steven is talking about, but there's still one more thing,
Right.
and then you've got to hand it off to somebody that knows how to mix it so that that vocal stands out against
Yeah.
all the other tracks and accomplishes the goal.
Yeah.
So it's not something that you're going to accomplish in one pass, one day, on one song. It's
No.
going to
no.
take some work.
And also, be tolerant with yourself for a learning progression. Maybe this entire year for you is handling your technique so you don't have to think about it anymore.
A whole year?
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm doing it on things, and I'm probably older than a substantial amount of people out there.
Nah, I don't think so.
No? Okay. But
No, actually, many of the people who watch the show are in our age
Okay.
category. We're talking to our peers.
what's the option?
Um,
Doing badly
yeah,
altogether?
well, see, a lot
You know?
of a lot of people would just walk away from it or give up on it, and then blame taxi or blame the industry
Right.
or blame something. Excuse me, rockstar burp. Rather than just saying it's going to take me a year.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I've done this 1,000 times. Golf, they would expect to take a year.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
Absolutely.
tennis, a year.
Absolutely.
But being a musical performer, songwriter, artist, anything, you know, in this field, they think that you're either born with talent or you're
Right.
not.
Well, kind of an example I use, there's a difference between the player and the instrument. And so, are you a good piano player?
No, I
Okay.
don't play.
So let's say
I totally
I have a
suck.
really nice piano at home.
Yeah,
Let's say I was a really nice guy and I gave it to you, Michael.
right.
Now you own a piano. Would you be able to play it any better?
No.
No. So people think because they own a voice and they use it that they know how to play it.
Interesting.
They should
Yeah.
know how to play it. No. It's
But
a-
if you give me your piano, I promise I will take lessons.
That's it. Okay. Call me up later.
I'll be over with the U-Haul this weekend.
I'll put it in the VW. You know. So.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right,
Want
so
to listen to another one?
yeah, but before we do, I want to talk about the concept of taking this same concept and applying it to rock and roll.
Right.
That it's one thing to listen to a singer-songwriter song that's got very deep lyrics and a lot of meaning and very emotional, and then yesterday I was thinking about today's show. I was in my car and I had Led Zeppelin cranked up, and I was listening to Robert Plant and thinking, wow, he's doing exactly what I want to talk about on the show tomorrow on a balls to the wall rock song that is just, I mean, literally the guy sounds like he's ripping his vocal cords out, but there's so much authenticity and so much believability in his lyric. So how do you, are there different techniques, or I know you've got a rock song on here, so what's the diff between?
Well, the diff is, if you're going to play Chopin, you probably don't just practice the blues on a technical level. You practice, you develop classical technique. So again, what you got inside can get through a channel to execute the genre you want to execute. But emotions themselves, and there's a little caveat to this, are not genre-based. Human feeling is not genre-based. Human feeling's human feeling. So if I'm going to be outraged, it's just outrage. And I technically execute what I need to technically execute with outrage.
Can you teach this? I know you teach over Skype, right? Can you teach rock and roll vocal delivery and authenticity as well over Skype as you can something that's more intimate?
Absolutely, absolutely. I have a client coming in from Australia in a couple of weeks, and we're going to, do some meetings and all that. And she said, "I can't believe I'm going to actually see you in the flesh in 2 weeks."
Yeah, wow.
Well, we have once, a year ago.
Okay.
And
that's right. She was. This was the girl you're telling me that once or twice a year, Stephen does a thing called the Hollywood Music Immersive, right? And I go speak at it, and Robin Frederick, and I think Rob Shirelli, and various other people from different aspects of the industry. And this was the girl with the really funky, cool haircut.
Yeah, totally.
Okay.
So, so she said to me, "God, I can't believe I'm going to see you in the flesh in a couple weeks." Then she goes, "But wait, I feel like I do." Yeah. And this has been the reaction of everybody. I had a young woman who studied with me for like 4 or 5 years, and she just violently refused to do Skype. It wouldn't be right and all that. And then she was up for The Voice, and she was in New York, so she had to do a session. 15 minutes in the session, she says, "Wait a minute, what was I thinking?"
Yeah. Why wouldn't you try it and say it doesn't work rather than just assuming?
I can do whatever I need to do anywhere.
All right. What number do I go to?
You want to do Bruno Mars or Linkin Park? Should we do Linkin Park?
Yeah, let's do Linkin Park.
Okay.
Which number was that?
I think it's
4?
It might be 4. Yeah, in the end.
Okay.
Oh no, it's 5.
All right.
It starts with
One thing, I don't know why. It doesn't even matter how hard you try. Keep that in mind. I'm designed this rhyme to explain in due time. Oh, I know time is a valuable thing. Watch it fly by as the pendulum swings. Watch it count down to the end of the day. The clock takes life away. It's so unreal. Didn't look out below. Watch the time go right out the window. Trying to hold on to didn't even know I wasted it all just to watch you go. I kept everything inside, and even though I tried, it all fell apart. What you meant to be will eventually be a memory of a time I tried so hard and got so far. But in the end, it doesn't even matter. I got too far to lose it all. But in the end, it doesn't even matter. One thing, I don't know why. It doesn't even matter how hard you try. Keep that in mind. I designed this rhyme to remind myself how I tried so hard. In spite of the way you were mocking me, acting like I was part of your property. Remembering all the times you fought with me, I'm surprised it got so. Things aren't the way they were before. You wouldn't even
Somebody
recognize
doesn't
me
like it.
anymore. Not that you knew me back then, but it all comes back to me in the end. You kept everything inside, and even though I tried, it all fell apart. What it meant to be will eventually be a
right, so I buy it. I am not a Lincoln. I was going to say Lincoln Park fan, and I absolutely hear what you're talking
And
about.
I don't listen to him either.
Yeah.
But what I wanted to do was exactly what you had in mind as well, which
Mm-hmm.
is it's not about genre. There's certain things. I mean, you listen. What I was saying to Michael while I was playing, here's the rap here. And then as the vocal melody starts ascending and the intensity of the music starts ascending, the rap starts going up at the level that it's being executed pitch-wise.
Mm-hmm.
And then it ascends again and the pitch goes up and it's like a culmination, and I buy it, you know.
Yeah.
I just buy it.
That was like Eminem quality. You know, Eminem is one of the few rappers I actually like, and he
Right.
would execute like that.
Yeah, and this guy, this guy is ridiculous. He's awesome. He really is a great singer too. You know.
Mike Shinoda, the bass player from Lincoln Park, lived 3 or 4 houses over from us before he was famous. He literally was like living in that house when he went to high school. And to this day, still see teenagers turn down the street and like drive by the house looking for him. They must Google him or something.
Yeah.
Okay, so
We can do one of your people.
yeah. Should we do one of yous guys? Huh? Okay. Let us. Oh, you know what? I think today we can disclose who we're listening to, because this is a learning thing, not a this. You know, I'm not asking you for +1s or -1s on song quality. So this first one is a song called "Miracle" by Dan Lowe, and here's the CD. Okay, and Stephen, I haven't heard this. Stephen hasn't heard this. Aaron just brought me the stuff, and I looked at it and went, thank you. So hopefully it will play. It does. And Stephen will advise.
There's a way you make me feel when my heart is on my sleeve. It's as if I got religion, as if somehow I believed. Oh, I have no way of knowing how you bring me to my knees, but you feel like a miracle to me. There have been times when I would doubt you, and signs my faith would fail, when my mind was lost without you, and the sun grew dim and pale, and my heart too heavy laden to be weighed upon the scale, but you feel like a miracle to me.
I gotta say, even the guitar feels emotional.
Yeah.
This
does.
simple little lead.
Yeah.
It's not,
Yeah.
you know, virtuoso level playing, but it's right
Yeah.
for the song.
Exactly, and I felt that the minute it started.
Have you heard
Yeah.
enough?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
Great job.
Yeah,
well,
who else?
actually, I'm prejudicing Stephen, but
Who is the person?
Dan Lowe.
Good job, Dan. So, should I just take it away?
Yeah.
All right. So there's.
I'm going to go warm it up while you're taking it away, because parts
Okay.
of my body are freezing.
So, I want to ask what parts. So, like I was talking earlier, there's a lot of different ways to examine this. And when we're looking at it mostly from the question of, do the lyrics and does the execution of the lyrics feel authentic? I would say for the large part, for the most part, it really does. Okay? So now, how do we enhance that? So there's a question, how do we enhance and how do we not distract? This is not a production critique. So I'm already saying that we've got a good basis, but when we've won with our audience at a particular level, what we can only, it's kind of like my dad was a attorney. He said, don't argue the case after you've won it. Because he saw a lot of lawyers, the judge go, well, wait a minute, you know?
Right.
So it starts, and then I hear the too close vocal and the distortion, and it distracts me. Okay. Now again, that's not what we're talking about, but I'm giving things that can enhance it. So getting a little bit of a better beat and a better simple. When I need to do this kind of a setup, this is my setup. I just open up. You know, I don't have to tweak it. I've tweaked it a million times. Okay. The other thing is that, again, 2 verses, something to experiment with is intensity of emotion. So, not wrong or right, this is just something to experiment with. You know, what's the intensity level of the feelings in the first verse? And then there's a second verse that starts.
And I'm a moron. I should have given you the lyric sheet because I've got it. There
Okay,
you go.
great.
Sorry.
Okay. There's one time. Yeah, so can we create a different emotional movement at that moment? So the first one, there's a way you make me feel when my heart is on my sleeve. It's as if I got religion, as if somehow I believe. So it's about her making him feel a particular way. This is what it's like. It's as if, you know, though I have no way of knowing, which is kind of like mystery. And you can have the emotional idea of mystery, which is another color, rather than saying, I have no way of knowing, you know, which is in the same emotional color. I have no way of knowing. So that's kind of like
acting.
Yeah, it's emotional color, and that's what you got to learn. Everybody does. Hey, bring me to my knees, but you feel like a miracle to me. So that's a return. Now, what's different about this next lyric is what you want to say to enhance an emotional performance. Now I'm going. The first thing I think about is that first verse feels a little bit more now. The second verse feels a little bit more what happened in the past of our life. There have been times when I would doubt you, right? So, and signs my faith would fail. So I've gone through that passage. This is the passage I'm in. That's the passage I've gone through. So that can feed and fuel another emotional level.
I got to mention this. Ralph Murphy, you know Ralph, right? Ralph Murphy always says, inevitably, the second verse should have been your first, right? Your second verse first. Because here you're talking about where we're at now, and then you do the backstory. Why not do the backstory and get to the second emotion of this is how I got here now? Would make your job easier to...
Exactly, and those are all things to play with. So again, I want to say that was a very good effort, and you have a lot of good stuff to work with. And like Michael said, the feel of the guitar is also very emotional.
Yeah.
So these are things to work with that could ultimately take it to the next level.
Yeah, my opinion, my humble opinion on this was pretty darn close. Always room for improvement, but pretty damn convincing.
I agree.
And I'm happy for you, Dan. I really am.
Good job.
Yeah, I don't know where you are in the chat. I hope you're in there somewhere, but yeah, excellent job. Okay, let's listen to another one. What do we have here? We have a song called Do I Even Know You Anymore by Boys Without Toys. And this time I'm going to give you the lyric sheet in advance. You can do it.
If you don't want it, then I wish you would tell me. If I'm not gonna have it, then I wish I would know. If you're not gonna stay, then I wish you would go now. It's hard thinking straight when you're so close. Don't know
Good.
I would love to see you tackle this one on stage.
Yeah.
Well, you're going to tackle it here, but
Okay, so
yeah, lot to work with.
yes, and we're probably thinking very similar things.
No,
Okay.
you're thinking at a level that I can't even conceive
Okay.
of.
All right. So first of all, again, a very workmanlike job. You know, I mean, it's good material. I like the feel of the band and the vocal. There's a lot of good stuff. Some of this is a stylistic thing. So if your style is to keep it all chill, you know, then that's your choice. But for me, I would want to see the intensity grow, because the words that are being said are more frustrating and confusing than what I'm hearing expressed vocally. Okay, and it really goes into take a chance now. You know, I mean, that's a real. We got to do this. You know, but everything keeps telling me I'm doing something. That's not a good feeling. You know,
But he delivers it almost in a monotone,
Correct.
like Al Stewart doing "Year of the Cat,"
right?
which that was a one-trick pony for Al, or you know what I mean?
Yep.
It worked one time.
Exactly.
It was an effect, if you will.
Right. That's why I'm
But-
saying it's a stylistic thing.
Yeah.
If that's what you want to do, great. But it is somewhere you've got to say I'm taking it to another level.
Okay, so how would you do that?
Well, so first of all, I feel like who's the lead singer? Do we have out there? Present, accounted for? Maybe not. Okay.
I think people submit their stuff and think they'll never get picked for the show.
Okay. So, Boy Without Toy. Okay. I think it's a little bit more. You can intensify it by realizing that you have really gotten fed up. It's further down the line. I had a director once said, complicate things. So rather than, it's at this point in the relationship, we're saying, hey, come on, if you don't want it, let me know. It's like, I have told you this 1,000 times, and I'm just not up for it anymore. If you don't want it, I wish you would let me know, because you're keeping me in the dark. You know, that's a frustrating situation. So when you start realizing that sucks, and if you start going, well, what does it feel like to be kept in the dark? You know, I don't like it.
He already knows, because this is a personal song he's writing to somebody that he's had this experience with. So he just has to say the words. He's not hearing it from our perspective, which is, how did it really feel?
Exactly. And so that's kind of what I'm talking about, writing from an emotional place, but singing about that place. It's not that it's bereft of emotion. It's really, like I said, really craftsman-like. But
he knows what he felt like at the time, and he's not
Yeah.
showing that to us.
yeah, and you know, this is again a stylistic thing as far as your methodology, but I tend to want to stay away from the real story that I wrote about, because it's not happening right now, you know, and probably maybe your relationship has changed with that person that you're about, so there's some truth barometer inside you that's going, well, she's not like that anymore. Well, how do I say that now? You know,
Yeah.
so rather than kind of saying, okay, this is my girlfriend and she's doing this, and
He's either married to her or she's wrapped up in the trunk of a car with duct tape over her mouth.
okay, you know,
think they've moved on.
or both, you know.
I just watched Dexter last night.
Oh,
Sorry.
right, okay. So, and then the next thing has to intensify. If we look back to Regina Spektor, even a gentle song like that, how it intensified. I don't know why this is so hard. You know, it's again, the frustration kind of mounts unless you want to stay emotionally in the same place, and I don't. You're the artist.
Let's
you know?
assume that he doesn't, so because
Okay.
that would be a choice that would negate everything you're going to say. And
Okay.
I want everybody to
Great.
learn from this.
So-
So just for the sake of teaching.
For the sake of teaching.
Yeah.
Okay, so Michael, let's say I said, Michael, can I speak at the road rally this year? And you say, Stephen, well, you know, I have to let you know. Okay, well, Michael, it's really getting close to the road rally. You know, could you let me know? And then it's like, Michael, why is this so hard? You've had me speak for 10, you know, so it's
Because
got-
this year I'm charging the speakers to come to the road rally.
well, how much? I'll pay double.
Okay, you're on.
But you understand,
Yeah.
it's that thing. It's what's happened and mounted that it's more and more frustrating. Why am I just sitting here? I mean, do you like sitting here? So I wouldn't say, I mean, there's a circumstance everyone would say, why am I sitting here? Why am I doing this? That's legitimate, you know. But it starts getting really interesting when you complicate it. Say, look, what the effing thing am I doing? Now, ultimately, you might pull it back. But if you don't investigate this real far expressive thing, then everything stays careful.
It's like the Mike and Ruthie moment where you had them dancing like complete idiots on the stage, and then when they pulled it back to actually, you know,
That's
not
right.
look like idiots, they looked incredible.
That's exactly what happens for everybody because the carefulness goes away and then things start coming alive. So take a chance now, we won't be here long. So that's kind of like, that's a whole different thing. That's saying, look, do this. Right?
I think you need to teach a class. I'm making a note. What'd you say? Take the carefulness away?
Take the carefulness away. Absolutely.
That's what a great concept.
It's really what defeats us, you know, because we just don't want to be wrong. We don't want to look
Right.
foolish. We don't want to, you know, so we hide our greatest stuff. Just because you investigate that part doesn't mean you have to ultimately walk that on stage, and that's a thing that people have trouble with. They think, well, if I do it now and explore it now, that at some level means that's how I've got to perform it or how somebody wants me to perform it. No, just explore that. I have never seen it do anything except help.
So really, it all comes down to everybody's probably got a great performance or an authentic
Everybody
performance or
does.
something in them that they would like to get out. It's just the fear of ridicule
Right.
that stops them from digging deeply enough to
That's right.
find it.
That's right. And there's a really weird kind of thing that goes on, which is our internal experience of what we're doing and what we're physicalizing and what we're expressing feels so much more radical than what it looks like to other people. And I discover this,
Feels more radical to us.
it feels more radical to us. But
Okay.
when you look at it on video, you go, oh my God, I was like dull as dishwater
Yeah.
in that time. And this one, which feels like I was absolutely absurd, looks normal. I mean, daily I go through that. I don't pay people to say that after they look at it. They're
Right.
paying me. They go, oh my God,
Yeah,
you know?
makes perfect sense.
So you're not going to investigate that emotionally if you're putting on a limitation physically.
I feel that way about this show. Some days, you know, I'll walk out of here and somebody in the staff will say, the show was really, really good today. I'll get home, 11 o'clock tonight, turn on the show and watch it and think I was dull as dishwater.
Right, right.
And it's the shows where I just don't give a rat's ass, where I'm just goofy and let it just,
You're amazing.
yeah. Don't
Yeah.
be flattered.
Well,
but,
sorry.
but, you know, you're right. It's the days where I try and deliver a good show that I'm probably a little stilted. The days where I'm just as if I'm hanging out with them. like
Well,
I'm
let
hanging
me
out with you. Yeah.
let me say that because that's probably one of the most significant tips I can give. Every time before I do anything, and it includes today, I forgot about it, I have a ritual. First of all, I say, what am I going to communicate? What am I there to communicate? So that I have to turn my head from being, let's see how those people are going to think about me, to what is it that I have that I really can deliver to make an impact. And that's why I've really tried to get more concrete because I love the theoretical. So here's a step, I want to do that more and more in my life. I want you to be able to do things you want to do and get the great feeling it feels. So I turn that around. What am I here to communicate? And if I'm passionate and plugged into what I want you to get, not what I want you to think of me,
Right.
then I'm free. The second thing is I make an absolute firm commitment that I'm leaving the venue, the meeting, whatever it is, taxi TV, feeling good about myself, regardless of what happens while I'm in there. I take the performance burden off my sense of feeling
Right.
worthy.
No matter how it turns out, you're going to walk away feeling good.
I promise myself. And if I hear my head talking to me, I say, shut up, not interested, but can we just go over one thing? Nope, maybe later, maybe another day.
I'm not that strong. I don't know how you do that.
It's not always easy, it's not always perfect, but it's the only game in town. Because the other thing just loads more burden onto the next time.
Yeah. That I can understand.
Yeah.
Let's listen to another song.
All right.
Let's move on to number 3, which is...
But I like the song, I like the band, so.
This is I'm Through Loving You by Michelle Lockie.
I'm gonna close the door and lock you out. I'm gonna tell you all my goodbyes now, and you will beg for me. But I want you to know that it's over, enough said. And I want you to know that I have no regrets. But I'm done with empty kisses in this worn out love affair. Oh, I'm through loving you. I'm gonna throw away that sweater you left, and I'm gonna put on my new favorite dress, and you will beg for me. But I want you to know that it's over, enough said. And I want you to know that I have no regrets. But I'm done with empty kisses in this worn out love affair. Oh, I'm through loving you.
The audience loves it. Go, Shell.
Yeah. Well, you want to ask me a question?
No, I just wanted to comment. Hey, Shell, did you notice it sounded a little distorted? That was played at the same level as the one before from the same CD. So bring down your 2 mix level. Hit it.
Great, good, good. Because I heard that too. But that notwithstanding, I mean, I'm reading the comments while the song's playing, and you know, you have some fans, Michelle, and I loved it, and you know, I'd have to see you perform it. But as a recording, when I was talking about irony before, there's a beautiful irony in the sweetness of of your voice and how you're delivering it, and with the delicacy and timing you're doing it, and the juxtaposition, you know, the contrast of what you're saying. And then as it gets worse, you kind of start singing just a hair more fully. You know, it's not exaggerated. So that's an example of it doesn't have to go wacky. It just lifted. There was an internal sense for me, and who cares if you actually felt that? You know, if the people listening, you know, are
Right.
picking that up, and I felt like it just intensified a little. Like you weren't going to kill him, but but he was toast, and it just kind of went to there. And then there was a very subtle falling off decrescendo at the end of the chorus, you know.
Yep.
So I think it was a very nuanced, humorous, but not silly performance. It had great irony and terrific. I love it.
Great. She's a great singer.
Yeah.
I know her well.
Good job.
I caught one thing, really minor correction, but the producer and me won't let it go. But I'm done with empty kisses and this worn out love affair. Love affair got swallowed a little bit, and if I hadn't been looking at the lyric sheet, I might not have understood what it was, and it's too important to. So, just go back and look at that. Okay, I've got one more. How are we doing on time? We're at 5:10 already.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's listen to one more really quick, and then play one more of yours and talk a bit more.
Excellent.
This is called "I Look Up," and it's by David Bradley Mao.
Was empty, but I kept searching for the last piece that was still missing in me. I did not think that I did anything wrong. I'm just trying to find a place that I belong. I look up. Open to see just where I'm going. My thoughts are so clear as to what I'm doing. It doesn't matter where I've been. I'm not the same person I was then. I am born again. I look up. I look up. I can feel your guiding grace. The love you give, I embrace. I look up. I look up. Well, now I know the words that feed me. Oh, the lesson that I'm learning, I'll let you lead. What I write these words, it is your song. Now I found just where it is I belong.
What's the name again?
This is David Bradley Mao.
David.
Please be in the chat room. We're 1 for 3 so far.
All right. Are you there?
It takes
Yes,
the-
I believe it is Christian rock. Yeah, that would be
Yes.
my guess.
Mine too,
Okay.
because the word "your" is capitalized and other telltale signs that would lead one to believe that. So that I was sitting here after 30 seconds, I figured out that it was contemporary Christian, and I thought to myself, I wonder if Stephen will have any commentary on the vocal delivery, because he's not delivering this to the audience, he's delivering it to Christ,
Right.
the lyrics. So
Right,
does
right.
that affect the delivery, and how so?
So we're always communicating to someone. We're either communicating to ourselves, to the divine, to a person, to it's all about is the communication that we're making true. So it really doesn't matter. I mean, I was raised Jewish, but because and it's not something that I practice deeply, although I adhere to some things, but because of what I've done, I can sing and open my, I mean, I don't want to get weird, but open my heart to Christ.
Oh, you're way past
I
that.
know, I know. I mean, open my heart to Christ because I know that love, that joy, and I know how to access that in me. So I don't have an I can't, or I don't have a subjective.
There's no lid.
There's no lid, okay? And it's actually a very beautiful experience to live without the lid, you know? So what I felt is I was smiling, I was hooked in, I loved the start, the production was good, and then the wall comes in and it's cool, and it was really going. And then something kind of dropped energetically for me in the verse.
Okay.
And
In the second verse or in the first?
first verse.
Okay.
It was when it dropped into the lower register. And I felt like in the upper range of his voice, David was really reaching and expressing. And at the lower, I felt a desire to sing and make sound.
Right.
Okay? And not exclusively, because obviously you're very talented to do it anywhere, but because the sound sounded a little perfect. There was one line further on, where you got I'll let you, on I'll let you lead. And I heard that sound. I was wanting that sound a little bit more gravel, a little less this, earlier on. Now, not terrible like that, but I think there's some tonality.
Want me to go back and play that section?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Was empty, but I kept searching for the last piece that was still missing in me.
Okay, pause it. For the last piece that was still missing in me. For the last piece that was still missing in me. It's like more spoken. Mm-hmm. So I see people here say, I love the lower register and all that kind of stuff. And so it's not the going into the lower register. And it's a beautiful lower part of your voice. So I'm not doing any of that deal. What I'm saying is it felt like, and I could totally be wrong if I was in the room with you watching you, but my initial thing was the upper felt raw, the lower felt less raw. The lower felt less immediate. Mm-hmm. It felt more like, consciously or unconsciously, I don't think this happens consciously. Nobody would ever do less than that. But there might be some idea about what it needs to sound like down there. Might be. And that takes a little bit, we're talking a little bit, of priority over the meaning and how that meaning gets expressed as the prime thing to get across.
I think it'll still come out if he goes down there.
It will, absolutely. And in the top, because it takes such a throw, it engages the passion.
Right.
So again, it's excellent stuff. And I think just a little examination of experimentation down there with what does that mean? And I'd be happy to detail that. My eyes are open. My eyes are open. It means it means the opposite is no longer true, which is my eyes used to be closed. Now my eyes are open. So we always need to look at what the implication is, that it raises the stakes.
Yeah, that's a great point. So he's still singing in that section you're talking about versus talking to us about it.
A little bit more. It's by no means, doo-doo, but it doesn't, I felt a loss of the intensity, and not just because of the range. I felt a loss of the emotional intensity, a little dip, not lost, a little dip of the emotional intensity in the verses.
It
What was
takes
your
a-
experience?
Well, it takes away from the authenticity of it. I'm hearing him as a singer at that moment and going, oh, that's technically pretty good. But he lost the connection to me.
Were you feeling the connection to him in the higher part?
Absolutely.
So
Initially,
without
when he
discussing
came
it,
in, and that was before I even realized that it was CCM and that this would be, who he was talking to, the audience that he would appeal to, and everything. I was just listening to it and going, oh wow, he's
soaring.
Yeah, I was going to say reaching for it, but yeah, soaring's a better word. So, but then when he went back down, he was a singer and he wasn't communicating to me. And it's that fine line that is authentic or less than authentic, and that's what this show is about.
That's right.
And it's hard for the screeners to tell the members how to fix that when they hear it. You can identify it, but it's hard to tell them how to fix it. So I'm glad you're here doing that.
And it's not talked about a lot. And again, who are we? Are we right? No, but we're two people who are in the industry. We independently kind of had a similar reaction. It's just something good to say, I wonder if that holds any water. What else could I do? Or maybe play it for 6 more people. And if you get the same reaction, then maybe it's something to consider working on.
Yeah, I mean, he's got a really good voice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And even if you felt it, David, it doesn't matter if you feel it, if it's not coming across. I was talking to a young actor about that yesterday. He feels happy, but his face is like this because he's not used to doing this with his muscles. So happiness doesn't read. When he does this and smiles, he feels phony. So you're gonna feel phony trying something else on the bottom. If you're not feeling phony, it means you're doing what you've always done. And unless that's getting you exactly what you want and is perfect and you're happy with that, then, it's an option and a consideration to see what else you can explore.
Yeah, don't let your comfort zone dictate to you that you repeat the same mistake. Okay, what is the singer's last name? Mao, M-A-U. That was David Bradley Mao. Do you have one more from your CD that you would like to play?
Sure. When I Was Your Man, Bruno Mars.
What number?
Oh, God. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. 14.
Okay. Well, you put a lot of stuff in.
Yeah.
Well prepared, thank you. All right, here we go.
Same bed, but it feels just a little bit bigger now. Our song on the radio, but it don't sound the same. When our friends talk about you, all it does is just tear me down. 'Cause my heart breaks a little when I hear your name. It all just sounds like too young, too dumb to realize that I should have bought you flowers and held your hand. Should have gave you all my hours when I had the chance. Take you to every party, 'cause all you wanted to do was dance. Now my baby's dancing, but she's dancing with another man.
Oh, let's just stop. He's exemplifying everything. And again, it's like all the great artists in everything analyze those who have gone before. And whether you want to call it analyze or get influenced by or interpret, whatever word is meaningful to you.
You're going to steal from the best.
You're going to steal from the best,
Yeah.
And you feel the cry in his voice. And in the chorus, how he leans into the top note, then he comes down and brings it way down for the next line, and then he leans into the top note and he brings down the next line, and not just down pitch-wise, intention-wise.
Emotional, yeah.
And then when he does the final line, the second to last line, you just wanted to dance. I mean, oh my God, you're saying,
I'm going to play it over, just that little section.
and then
Feels just a little bit bigger now. Our song on the radio, but it don't sound the same. When our friends talk about you, all it does is just tear me down.
you feel tear me down.
'Cause my heart breaks a little when I hear your name. It all just sounds like too young, too dumb to realize that I should have bought you flowers and held your hand. Should have gave you all my hours when I had the chance. Take you to every party, 'cause all you wanted to do was dance. Now my baby's dancing, but she's dancing with another man.
You can just the word man.
Yeah.
If you listen to just the word man, I can't do it, but dance with another man.
I know.
You can hear the hurt in the
Yeah.
word, in a single word.
And the word when he says my heart, you know, something there's something da 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 da, and then he goes, it really goes for, I can't remember the lyric right away because I don't have it in front of me, but he goes, and then he takes down my heart, and he says my heart, and then when he says something now, he now, you know, he squeezes it out, you know, and then comes down for
Much
that
better
gentle-
than you did. But
Well, yeah, I mean, Bruno Mars is up there, you know, but.
it's funny because nobody would listen to it, you know, on the radio, in their car, at home, and analyze it like we're
No.
analyzing it now. They would just get the overall impact of how effectively he does it,
Right.
because it's believable.
And so what you got to look at is, what does he do on the word tear that makes it sound like tearing? What does he do on the word heart that makes it sound like heart? What does he do on the word now, which is a bad thing, that makes it sound like right now? And it's really, what is happening on these things?
So is he spending, 100 hours singing the song over and over and analyzing it line by line?
He already has for the last 10 years.
Yeah.
Okay. So, like, yes, it would help, but it becomes automatic. Right now, you could give me a script, a song, and I'm going to make it come alive because I'm accessible. I practiced how to create, to release and get enough technique, enough emotional content, enough so that I just drop into some, ultimate flow, which is something I'm calling it now, which is that moment where all the things that are physical, that are mind, our judgment, our emotions, our energy, all that goes out the window. And it's just this thing that is...
Can you teach us at the rally next year?
Yeah.
Would you guys like that? For those of you who come to the rally, is this a 90-minute class for you? Would you like that?
Jason Mraz, I agree, he's awesome. Friend of mine recorded him, said his scratch vocal you could have put on the record. Great, I love to do it. Everybody can get there.
Yeah.
I'd like to see you get there.
Awesome. Speaking of scratch vocals, one of the techniques that I tell people all the time that are engineers or producers is you always get the vocalist to do a level check. Let's just do a pass top to bottom and let me get my EQ and my compressor and everything set. And of course you hit record and you'll get the best performance of the whole day because they just don't care.
Right.
They're not worried about their performance. They're
Correct.
just singing it.
Correct.
And with any luck, then you can just go back and fix a few little sections and you've got a keeper vocal. Of course, the vocalist most often will sit there and try and beat it all day long. God bless them.
Right, because, it's why we have something, people know that second night you come in and it sucks the first night was awesome. It's because the first night you came in to do something else that you did the second night. The first night you came in to be alive, right?
Yeah.
The second day you came in to repeat what you did last night, and that's not what got you there.
Right.
You know, so we have to understand where our focus, what our attention is on, and when, you know, like what you're saying in that studio situation, when their focus is not on being good and delivering it right when the rehearsal is up.
I remember I was the assistant engineer on the first Firefall album that had the single "You Are the Woman," which I'm not going to sing. I've done it before once on the show, and it was horribly embarrassing for me, and for you guys. I think it was painful. But Rick Roberts, who's one of the greatest singers I've ever seen in the studio, is a beautiful voice. Ricky could not nail the vocal, and he probably worked 3 or 4 hours on it. And finally, Jim Mason, who was the producer, and he was kind of a wise old owl guy, gave me $100 bill, and he said, "Is there a bar nearby?" And I said, "Yeah." He said, "Go to the bar, buy a round of drinks, and come back with 10 girls." And I did. But it's funny because I walked up to these girls saying, "I'd like to buy you a drink and bring you back to Criteria Studios, a half a mile away, so you can watch this guy sing." And they looked at me like, "What kind of pervert are you?" But it worked, and I got him there. And we put a semicircle of these girls around Rick, and we gave him a handheld mic and had him sing the song to them, and it only took one pass, and he nailed it.
Yeah.
It was cool.
He had a different focus.
Yeah, right. Yeah, absolutely. He was trying. Yeah.
Yep. There we go.
He was hoping they'd be one of the 10 would be the lucky contestant.
Exactly.
And prior to that, he was worried about, do I sound good to the other
Yeah.
guys in the band and the guys in the control room?
Yeah.
Yeah. You are the woman that I've always dreamed of.
Oh man, so good, so good.
Well, awesome. This was great. I hope this helps you guys because I know this comes up a lot. And it's very, very difficult for the screeners to put this down in a critique. This is just one of those things that you can't write 2 or 3 sentences and tell somebody how to sound more authentic unless, of course, you are the one, the only, the amazing Mr. Stephen Memel. Yes.
I'll be careful.
Well, you don't have to be careful. Just,
Okay.
Stephen was telling me about something before we started the show, and I said, "Yeah, sure, go ahead, tell him." So go ahead, tell him.
All right, here's what I just want to let people know, if you know any kids, teens, whatever, that I'm co-sponsoring something where we're letting some kids submit their videos and songs to a website called Rocket 21, which is an educational website to connect people who are, you know, not necessarily going to have a chance with other people in the industry, real solid, you know, people. And we have something going on called Sing in the New Year. And so go to www.rocket21.com and look for Sing in the New Year.
Is there an age thing associated with this?
There is. I think it's mostly 13 or 12 to 17 or whatever, and they've got all the parental, you know,
Right.
stuff. As a matter of fact, that's been their biggest expense, you know, so
Yeah.
they've really done it right. But give them a chance to be, you know, heard by some really cool people.
And Stephen didn't ask me to plug this, but the Hollywood Music Immersive that he does every year, I think I've spoken at probably 4 of them now, and I enjoy it immensely. I mean, frankly, it wipes out half a day for me, but I look forward to going back and doing it every year because most of the kids, for some reason, why did they mostly come from Australia? Because the people that started the immersive are from there?
Yes, exactly.
That's their marketing. That's where they've got their mailing list.
Right,
Okay.
but they're going to be expanding. We're talking about China and
Wow.
various other places. So it's in the works. China takes a little longer than other places.
Yeah,
but,
my Mandarin, not so good.
No, me either. Yeah.
Anyway, I really, really enjoy going to this thing because I call them kids, but you know they range in age from like 15 up to probably 25-ish.
Yeah. We have a 50-year-old guy this time.
Really?
We do.
Wow. So these people are really committed. I get the same feeling from them that I get from people at the rally. They jumped on a plane. They went to, in this case, it's not inexpensive, and they fly halfway around the world. and they stick them in a house that's kind of like a reality show house, and they're all together for a week, and they come in completely, not completely inexperienced, but they come in as grade level C and leave as grade level A, literally in a week. And they leave doing a live performance at the end of the week, and Stephen takes them into the studio, and they each record one of their songs. And just watching the transformation is amazing. So Hollywood, Google Hollywood Music Immersive and check that out. I'm not plugging it for any reason other than I've seen it with my own eyes, and it's really cool.
And you can go to hollywoodimmersive.com, and that's where you'll find the music. And Michael is a favorite because I'm serious. This is not. He is. I love him coming in. Everybody loves him coming in because he's the real deal. He's been there. He's got great stories. And
I give him the shiz.
You give him the shiz. All right.
I remember the last one. I was really, my arms are flapping, and I was very emotional that day.
That's great.
All right. Well, thank you, Stephen.
Michael, thank
Ladies
you.
and gentlemen, Mr. Stephen Memel.
Thank you.
And I will see you guys very soon on another exciting episode of Taxi TV Live. Bye, guys. Woo-hoo.